Hey, Matisse. Yeah, vertical stream experiment. On top of everything else, you know, new magic, same thing, two different ways. Yeah, let me turn this down. You know, why not manage just a little bit more? You know, see if it's worth it. You know, not shared chat because can't do that. Yeah, so I knock knock, right. Okay. So this may be a terrible idea. We'll see. But I've been streaming every morning consistently to keep video uploads going on the site or on YouTube, which is good. But also editing streams are boring and nobody cares. And I don't blame anybody. They're boring to me too. I'm mostly going through the motions. I enjoy kind of the creative aspect of making thumbnails and stuff like that. But why? Just why? But daily streams, morning streams, it's compelling, interesting. I can do it. I've been doing it. So I'm like, okay, well, why don't I keep doing it? But why don't we just do something like gobs more interesting? Ha, gobs. Yeah. So that's kind of where the idea started. And I was like, okay, well, what could I do that's more interesting? And I have had sitting on my shelf this Midori journal. I bought it. I checked on Amazon this morning. I literally bought this 2 years ago, almost to the day, with the intent of using it for something, and I haven't. And it's just this awesome little. I mean, I love the key. I love the door. The 5-year concept I'm only somewhat familiar with, but the idea is that you use it through multiple. And I thought, well, wouldn't that be an interesting challenge to give myself to create an encounter just in this amount of space, just with what's there. I don't know actually literally if I can do it. I've been noodling on some ideas these past couple of hours, and but I really like the challenge of it, and how I might be able to explore some different ways of thinking about encounter designs in a different way by sort of forcing myself into a different little bucket. Hey, Connor. Yeah, goblin time. Exactly. So, yeah, so that's the idea. That's the premise. And, new ideas can be dangerous. So this is Friday, 9/26. Second best. Wait, what's the best time? It's only the second best time. What's the best time? We'll see how this works. So I don't know about you guys, but like the reason I was sort of sketching out some ideas already is because blank pages are it's not blank pages. Blank pages aren't a problem for me, but important pages like this book, it's been sitting on my shelf empty for 2 years because it represents like, what is it? What is that? It's like it's not anxiety exactly, but there's like an anxiousness to like, okay, do I want to until I've used it a bunch. Like, there's going to be a phase, I don't know how many days of doing this before I'm like, okay, I'm not nervous about ruining it. But at least initially, you know, it goes, I don't know. But here's another, what I really like about at least the first year of doing this, because the idea is that you stick to the top section, right, for the first year of using it. We get all this feels like I know Matisse, ruin it. This feels like training wheels. Look at all this extra space I have up here. Now once I get down to these, it's like, okay, this is challenge mode, because I've literally have, what is it, it's like 5 lines. That's nothing. How am I going to make an encounter in that? But I've got training wheels for at least 365 of these, so that feels good too. So ruin it indeed. And then I feel bad because I think left-handed is, I may block a lot of what I'm writing, but hey, Stan. Oh, thanks. Angel, it's your birthday. Is my birthday there? Something? I don't know what you're saying, but happy birthday if that's the case. Okay, so my goal is to use each of these entries to make an encounter, and I have an idea for the first one. Like many of my favorite encounters, starts with a door. And Crane is here, because that is tradition. Right upside down, then you won't block it. Good idea, Connor. Why didn't I think of that? Okay. So I wasn't joking about the yeah, it's ruined now, right, Matisse? Thank you. Thanks for helping ease those tensions. So I kind of like this idea of a goblin knocking on the door. So I think that's going to be the first thing here. Now the goblin, I think, a goblin knocking on the door, could be any door, I think. Could be the door, it could be a metaphorical door, it could be like a campsite, they're knocking on a log outside of, I don't know if everybody has goblins that talk. I think goblins are more fun if they talk, and I don't know that I really care. Yeah, Matisse, the vertical comments are separate. I really like goblins that talk. But if a goblin talks and the goblin is knocking on the door, the goblin needs a name. So, let me make, let's see here. Simplest place to put it. Let's do goblins name. What do you think? A D6? Let's do a D6. Hodor? I don't even know the reference. I think that's Game of Thrones, right? I know it is from that, but I don't know it personally. But let's do... Okay. Let's do for 2. What do I have in here? I like the, for some reason, I like the idea step. I like really basic goblin names. feel like that's what they would have. How about something like Rolf? Connor with a Gary. Gary the Goblin. I like that. Let's see. How about something happier? Like a Pip. Pip the Goblin. I could imagine. Knock is a fun name. Good one. Okay. Timmy, oh, I missed that. Hey, Folly. Name's Milford Cubicle. That would be effective. First name Gob, last name Lynn. Now you're getting somewhere. So the situation is a single goblin wants a moment with the party. And then let's do, how about, just for the sake of space, he wants, and then let's do a D4. Let's do like a let's do a 1. He wants, let's call it a trick. So in the case of the trick, let's say that a thief has used the image of a goblin to get in. 2. Let's do trade. Magic rocks. 3. Warn. Something like wolves or wargs or something. Wolves on the way. And not much room left. Let's say beg. Room for the night. Giant warn could also be giant rats. I like that too. So, and again, I should say that this is not how I typically, let me fix the angle there. I don't normally make encounters this way. This is not how I tend to think about them. Usually I'm a lot wordier. I'm a lot less random. I rarely make tables to roll on. But there's an appeal. let's see. So in this case, we would have Rolf the Goblin, who is warning the party about something's on the way. Wolves or wargs or something like that. And to me, the fun part about door encounters specifically, which is this. I'm kind of a sucker for door encounters, but like the premise of something's knocking, something's there, right? Technically, door encounters can be more than just doors. This is something that is requesting attention that kind of has to be dealt with. It's an interrupter. I like things that interrupt the party. You know, the personality of this, and in our case here, Rolf the Goblin warning them about wolves on the way. Well, that to me begs a bunch of interesting questions, right? Does this goblin really want to help? Is that just kind of his vibe? Or Rolf could be her vibe. Is it a distraction? Maybe it's maybe the goblin's a detractor, or maybe the goblin is a master manipulator. Connor, your opinion on rollable tables is really just inspiration to build something that you want in that moment without having to do a bunch of research. A quick scan of a table gives you setup and gets you started. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm describing right now, right? Like, this is a way to use it. Which, you know. Quick roll again, gives a 5 and a 4. So Pip the Goblin. Yes, Crane. Pip the Goblin is begging for a place to stay for the night. You know, Pip could become a hireling for the adventurers. It could all still be a trick, but yeah, it's not so bad. It's so funny to be like almost like trying to convince myself to like make more tables, but it's a different way of thinking about encounters. I tend to think more in bespoke terms and less in sort of random, but it's a fun brainstorming tool. I'm also realizing how much smaller I'm going to need to write if I want to do almost anything with these encounters. Maybe I should just limit myself to like one table to roll on, even though I do like rolling two. That seems like a fun... I'm getting everything very great. Maybe the goblin is the warg's lunch. Maybe it's the goblin that brought the wargs in the first place. I don't know how people normally use the dates here. 2025, and I guess in parenthetical it's a Friday. I think Midori's are Japanese books, so I'm not sure how. I think the dating usually works a little bit different. Maybe a format of a short-term and long-term goal of the one they're encountering. Yeah, I mean, really, like, I don't know. I don't necessarily have a plan for how these... Oh, like X wants help with X to get X. Sure. It probably just depends. I mean, I was thinking about this and happened to grab a D6 and a D4. So that's kind of just what it became. But I also think, like, so I think this is good for me. I think this process will be good. I think it's going to be a little bit painful sometimes because I am not, it's not my, it's not my instinct. My instinct is to sit here with sort of text on a screen and type away and solve all my problems with words. And here, I actually think fewer words, ideas, squeeze them down. That could be that and Crane's hair. That's the key to everything. Also, lots of mistakes. Lots of important mistakes. So I think these will be more fun than editing streams. Matisse joining the vertical chat for a moment. Yeah, so if you guys are viewing the stream, this is one of only like a couple of streams I've ever done that's vertical. I'm not sure that I'm always doing things that work really well vertically. That said, I've seen some stuff recently that made me want to try it again. That's right. Happy accidents. But with everybody checking it out, I feel pretty good about that. Feels like a good experiment. It takes a little bit more work. I need to figure out the best way to have a camera that focuses in the right position. The nice part about this experiment, though, if nothing else, is that this page fits nicely into this vertical layout. That at the very least I can do this every day, and we can spend an hour or so sorting this out. Hey, Guitar Guy. Morning from Texas. Thanks so much. But I like it. I think I'll like it. Like I said, it's going to be a painful process, but I think maybe it's names that I'll stay away from. Pip wants to trade magic rocks to convince the village is doomed. I mean, I would use the. Okay, so how would I here? Let's do this. How would I use each of these? This is a random generator, right? We're building tables, and from those tables gives us just the starting point. Names notwithstanding, I don't know if I'll do a table for names again in the future. It's fun, but it might not be as useful. But what the goblin wants. If it's the trick, and it's a thief has used the image of a goblin to get in, then I would next figure out who that character of that thief is, right? Is that thief super knowledgeable and conniving and is using the goblin sort of visage to sneak in on this unsuspecting party and pull off a heist probably when they're sleeping? You know, nobody's feeling threatened by a little goblin, so you know, Pip or whoever can, or whoever the thief really is, can kind of pull one over on them. At the same time, if anybody casts detect magic, that creates a really fun situation where, depending on whether the thief has noticed that they've detected magic, they may realize, the party could realize, that this goblin's not a goblin before the thief realizes it, right? And in a situation like that, I would be excited to use that premise of a trick, because sometimes when there is a magical trick going on and the party you know, detects it, it can be kind of a bummer, because it's like, oh, this is a really high stakes trick. This is a very low stakes trick. This is just some thief using the skills and abilities at their disposal, and if the party gets one over on the thief and decides to kick him out or take his, you know, take his spell components or something, no big deal. Hey, Soulkeeper. You're still at work? Yeah, I just wanted to experiment with a vertical stream, so you have to let me know what you think of that. And then if the party didn't realize that if they really did trust the goblin, if they really let the goblin like sleep in their camp or whatever, then probably the thief is going to make off with something of theirs. That's ultimately, it's just I would probably make it a thief that doesn't have any idea about the party, doesn't have any grand ambitions, is just going to sneak in and basically take some of their loot and sneak off. And then I guess if they confronted him, maybe he would trade them some secrets that he knows about the nearby town. That's probably how I'd use trick. If I was going to use trade, the idea of the idea of magic rocks or magic something. I think it'd be super interesting. It's like, okay, if we gave a goblin at the door a like a ring of invisibility. Something legit magical. I feel like that's going to create a really interesting conversation between the goblin and the party. Matisse, the views on vertical stream. I know, that's why I have to try. I saw somebody this last week they were coding, and they were running 2 streams, and of course I noticed them because I'm swiping through on my phone, and YouTube shows these streams to people, and so people show up, and it's like, well, that's if there's a relevant way for me to do it, I almost have to try that. That's so many more. That's so many more eyeballs. So I don't know what other people think, but I'm actually a huge fan of giving sometimes all together too powerful items that are almost too powerful to my low-level parties. I like doing that. Like, and hopefully I'll be able to use more of these ideas now that I'm trying to run shorter campaigns more often. But I would love to run a campaign that starts with what's the most like unbelievable sword that somebody could have, give that to a party of like 2nd level, 3rd level, whatevers, and say, you guys have to get this thing to this location, you guys have to deliver this to whatever, you guys have to use it, because it's going to put such a target on their back that they have it. I don't know, that just seems really interesting to me. It feels like that would generate a lot of interesting drama, not for like 100 sessions maybe, but for 10 or 20 sessions, that could be really fun. So if the goblin got in the door and then said, I'm looking to trade, and the party's not going to think that the goblin has anything worth their time, right? They're going to think, okay, what's this goblin? It's trying to pull one over on us, trying to trick us. And the goblin pulls out like a little ring and shows them like, oh, I have this thing. And they put it on their finger and they disappear. They become invisible. And it's like, this is legit. Like, I've got this. I'm trying to turn a new leaf. I'm not looking to steal anymore as a guy. What do you give me for it? I feel like it's going to turn around. I feel like the party is going to try to swindle a goblin at that point, because maybe the goblin, oh, that would be really fun. Maybe the goblin doesn't even realize that the ring is doing anything from their perspective. Maybe they do, but maybe they aren't connecting the dots that like that's a valuable thing for them to be invisible. Hey, Austin. Or sorry, Augustin. What's up? You may have posted something else and I missed it. So I like that idea of like, maybe it's not a ring, maybe it's some type of magical item whose value would escape a goblin but be interesting to the party. Because it's almost like putting the party in the position of like when somebody doesn't know that they're selling like a valuable painting, but somebody else is in the know, and it's like, okay, should we take advantage of this person? Should we educate them so that and give them like a respectable deal? And I mean, yeah, that could be fun. I like that. And then, okay, so then Warn, we went with it's not a good D4 example for this because all the numbers are on weird place. Augustin tips, sure. Oh, you're new to D&D. Can you give some tips? Sure. What do you need tips for? Are you a player or are you a dungeon master? if we go with 3 and the goblin's warning them, knock, 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 hurry, please. You must listen. I feel like all of those options are available to us there as well, where it's like, okay, is it a trap? Maybe it's an earnest warning. Augustine, you don't have friends to play with, only your brother. That's okay. So I got started playing D&D. I was a board gamer for a long time, and my wife and I really wanted to try. She was actually the one that pushed for it. She's like, we have to try D&D. We keep hearing stuff about D&D. But we didn't know anybody who played. So I sort of did my research, which really amounted to watching actual plays. I watched Critical Role. I watched Acquisitions Incorporated. I watched Chris Perkins. I watched some Runehammer. Saw a bunch of different people kind of talking about the game, how they run their games, and seeing it really helped. And then took that, and then we actually got the Essentials kit for 5th edition, which I don't think was that great, but I guess I can't complain because it got me started. And I ran a duet game, so I was the dungeon master, and I ran for my wife, just the one player, and we did that for a year. That's how we both learned how to play D&D. So we started with the Essentials kit, started in Phandelver. Started in that town, and I think we stuck with the script. We stuck with the module for maybe 6 sessions, and then I sort of spun off into my own kind of version of all of it. And we screwed it up. We screwed up almost every rule. Yeah, Matisse, it wasn't Lost Mines though. It was it is Phandelver or Phandalin. I think it's called Phandalin. But the Essentials kit isn't the Lost Mines. The Essentials kit is the Dragon of Icespire Peak. That's the one that we had. So it's ultimately setting you up to, at the end of that campaign, fighting a white dragon. And I made a bunch of customizations as we went through, and we screwed up. The biggest screw ups were I didn't know how to run complex encounters yet. Like, I didn't know how to handle it when she wanted to turn and run. Didn't know how to do that. And we also didn't know properly how to run wizard spells. So both of us, our reading of the rules suggested that as long as she has a wizard spell book, everything that goes in her spell book she has access to as a wizard. And so she became obviously a super overpowered wizard. Probably 80 spells that she had access to by the end of that year-long campaign. But it was really fun, and we got hooked and started running groups and stuff after that. So, Augustine, my point is, you or maybe your brother, whichever one of you wants to be the dungeon master, you guys could run for each other. You guys could play sort of a duet game. I think the one sort of suggested bit for that, and this came straight out of the Essentials kit, and we used it back then too. Give the one player that you have a companion that they pick, like maybe even they detail out a second character. But the key is that you control that character unless it's combat. In combat, they control both, in which case they basically have 2 characters during combat. That frees you up to do a lot more encounters than you would, because single character combat is really challenging on both sides. But two players in combat, that gives the one player a lot more stuff to do. It gives you a lot more challenge to work with and put in front of them. But then outside of combat, you play that character as an NPC effectively. Like, that'd be the way to do that. So anyway, hope that helps, Augustine. If you have any questions about it, yeah, definitely shoot them over. Okay, so if it's 3, wolves are on the way, wargs are on the way, something like that. Maybe it's a distraction, get the party to go deal with that threat, then the goblin can ransack the camp. That's one option. Could be earnest, because the goblin, maybe the goblin actually screwed up. Maybe the wolves are on the way because of something the goblin did. And so the goblin is now looking for help. It's like, wait, what did you do to cause this? And so maybe before the goblin came to them, the goblin was actually, it's like, okay, I'll show you. If you help me, like we can actually save the town, because like this horrible thing is on the way. And it turns out what the goblin did before coming to where they're staying is it like it was trying to break into like a wizard's tower or something like that, maybe like a wizard's hut. And so in actuality, the party now has put themselves in a situation where in helping the goblin, they may actually be getting themselves in trouble with a wizard, because that's what the goblin did. That's whatever's on the way, whatever's coming, the warning is as a result of that. That could be fun. And then the fourth one, beg. If the goblin just wants a room for the night, the goblin is just looking for a place to stay. I'm trying to think about, nothing would probably make my party more distrustful of any creature, goblin or otherwise, if it knocks on their door, just ask them for like a safe haven, someplace to stay. Like, they wouldn't trust that for a second. See, Matisse, they would be looking for every which way that could screw them. So maybe that's worth it. Maybe that's worth having an honest, just looking for help goblin passing through. You know, it leaves them a little origami, you know, on its nightstand after it thanks them. You know, leaves them a couple of sticks and twigs and maybe like one copper piece, and then it's like, goodbye, Pip. Off Pip goes. Could there be something else behind that story? Maybe, maybe not. But also that could just be like a sweet moment with a passing non-hostile goblin. I'd be okay with that. That's not so bad. I'm laughing because my games should have more just like earnest moments like that. If we want players to not always be hostile monsters, then maybe we should give them more chances to not have to be. Okay. Well, the goblin is the one who knocks. We've got names, we've got reasons. It's messy. Journal's broken in. Let's fill it up now. We've got many more pages to go. Looks like there's a little bit of see-through, which is annoying, but that's okay. All the more reason it'll just be messed up even more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. 5 lines every day. I can fill that. So that's it. Short little stream. More exciting than editing. And I'll probably expand on this. You know, put it in the Discord. Eventually my Patreon maybe. And make it a little bit more usable. And then we'll just keep rolling dice and figuring these out. Do one a day for as long as I can do it. Oh, hey, Ducky. Look at the blue star. What if there are like 10 wolves that are going to raid the village and the goblins say if you kill the wolves, the goblins will come for you? Yeah, it could be like a, you know, some sort of parlay almost. I like that. Could be a few ways to tweak that. Yeah, that's good stuff. There's a link to my Discord. I pretty much only share that on stream, so if anybody would like to join it, working toward a Patreon launch, hopefully here in October. Been working on a one-shot on stream, which I maybe will also run a vertical stream for later if I can figure that out. So thanks to everybody passing through on the vertical side. I don't normally work in this size. So excited to keep working on that, sorting that out, and maybe yeah, maybe next time I'll have to prep this ahead of time, but maybe next time because my instinct is to go from this format to then like typing it up. So maybe I'll plan to have that transition step next time, because this is a good premise, but then it makes me think of a bunch of other stuff too. I don't know. Maybe that flies against the We're figuring it out. It's day 1. Never done this before in this way, so we'll see. We'll see. All right. Good one. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to go get some editing done off stream because it's, like I said, boring. And get some odds and ends, and I'll be on again here probably in a couple hours doing some one-shot design work, I think. See you, Captain Cool Time, with your Captain Cool name. Yep, so I'll be on again soon. Thanks, everybody. See you, Angel.